Fantastic and fabulous.
Raymond, you use the Sawam Road, right?
No, not any longer. You should update your GPS on my movement.
Because yesterday I was down that road and I noticed that the traffic. Oh, Raymond,
I agree with you.
The traffic lights
and
it's
bad. Okay, there are excuses that they are working on the roads and all of that, but it's still terrible.
So there are no traffic lights working on that road.
You are compounded with main traffic problem, traffic jam. Then secondly, you have very difficult lighting on the road. They tried fixing it some months ago. I think it was temporary fixing because the lights, as soon as somebody switch them on and switch them off again, they stopped working.
Even those are for the street lights. Yesterday, when I was getting out, right down here at Atinka, the traffic light is not working. And it's so difficult because it's a bit of a complicated intersection right here, branching into North Kanishi. You can only take a left turn and go straight to somewhere. So I stood there and you get people honking at you. And this morning, too, when I was coming, it was the same thing. I don't know. Can we get something done about it, please? Road Ministry and Highway and Urban Roads officials, please. It's just down here. Let's get it fixed. Anyway, let's do the front pages now.
Let's start with the Chronicle front page stories. Don't use my court as a doormat. That's a High Court judge warning a lawyer. Newman Gold Cup Ghana is a cheat. That's a hafu. Residents claiming land guards chop off fingers of land guard. And a father right to CJ. The last story is Cry Wolf officials making NDC irrelevant. Read Ebo Kwanzaa on page 14. And before Enimwa points this out to me, Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows.
This is like a message to somebody, but well, that's on the front page. From the Chronicle, let's go to the graphic business. It's reporting this morning the Bank of Ghana is eyeing pumping more dollars into the system through what it calls the forex sales. So it's increased this year by 60%. So the hope is that the massive depreciation we saw last year will not continue to this year. With the hope that when you increase it by 60%, of more dollars available, speculation and other things will not push down your your CD and will not make it suffer the massive losses that we saw last year. It is good news. We hope that this will be sustained, and we all know the sustained way of dealing with this problem. NIC commended for measures to eliminate fake stickers. That's the National Insurance Commission. We're talking about tax refunds vis-a-vis tax compliance, also on the graphic businesses front page. Now, we're talking about career development today, right?
Yes, we are.
The graphic business has a story on staying relevant in a rapidly changing world. And that story is on the front page 2 of the graphic business. Yeah.
Right, on the front page of the Daily Statesman, Boss gets new chief executive officer. 71 fire outbreaks already recorded in the Ashanti region in 2020. Boycott upcoming voters registration. NPP communications director dares the NDC and resign before joining partisan politics. Atuatha cautions civil servants.
The Daily Guide front page stories. NPP tipped to win 2020. Farmer attempts murder suicide. Cop fired over Kumasi Stadium shooting, and I gave ex-Matlock boss 50,000 Ghana cedis. That's a witness telling a court in the trial of Sedina Tamakula Tunu.
50,000.
Yes.
Okay, that's not the one that was
the
Ghana must go back.
500,000.
Okay.
But this one is 50.
I like the 50 that runs through it all.
The money that is dropping in that case.
The new crusading guide is reporting this morning. You won't be left out. This is the president of the Republic of Ghana speaking to our Venor chiefs ahead of oil exploration, and we won't call off strike. That's technical university teachers to the National Labour Commission. No way. That's basically what they are saying. And the foreign minister has been promoting Ghana Beyond Aid in Turkey. Do not make youth parliament partisan. This is the NYA telling the young people of this republic.
The front page of the Ghanaian Times, EC will go ahead with new voters register. Dr. Awal Geogate adjudged overall best ministers in 2019. Congratulations to you. $4 million children's library project abandoned. Cop interdicted for shooting football fan. And on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, 897,000 cashew seedlings distributed to about 16,000 farmers in the Upper West region. And GHA to relay concrete based on structure of Klagon Ashaiman underpass.
The Daily Graphic defends diffuse growing tension over register Ni Okwe Dowona the 6th, telling Peace Council National Road Safety awaits policy direction on Okada use. This follows 732 deaths last year from Okada alone. 732. ECG wages war on power theft. Task force on a surprise visit to premises. Back page of the Daily Graphic. Tepansawam District hospitals near completion, and construction of bridge over Ochi River progresses.
Now, the finder is the last paper I have before me. The Trade Union Congress is saying that 2020 polls, all stakeholders should cooperate to ensure peaceful elections. And it's an interesting period they are talking about this, especially when there is some conversation over whether or not to do a new voters register and a new electronic improved voter management system. That is Oh,
you don't sound excited at all.
What is it about improvements that have a problem with? Anyway,
that's what she's saying. When we're compiling the current register,
that's
exactly what we said.
In fact, when we said that we had introduced NV, no verification, no vote, it was to be the biggest improvement in our electoral practice until that time.
And this was just 2012.
Well, so
we involve a lot as a state.
It's not 10 elections.
Very quickly, don't we?
Anyway, now we don't do it when you're delivering public service, but when it comes to electoral management, we evolve so much. Now, the finder is also reporting this morning. I took 500,000 from accounts of Maslock office. This is the CEO's driver, and the First Lady charges hairdresser and beauticians to prioritize creativity in their work, and that's on the front page of the finder too.
Let's start with that story you were just talking about in relation to the compilation of new voters register, which seems to have divided the country between just divided the country in the middle. Now, the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Niokwe Kenkadoona the 6th, is telling the Peace Council to take urgent steps to diffuse the tension that is brewing between the two major political parties, the governing New Patriotic Party and the opposition National Democratic Congress. Now, his argument is that what the two parties, the positions that they have taken in relation to the voters register, is not good going into the election. And because we know that our elections have always been dogged by tension, and he says that the contestation over the register is actually heightening the tension in the country, which is completely needless. We know that the two parties have had their respective positions clearly stated. The position of the governing party was unclear until last week, when it led 13 other smaller political parties, dormant political parties you may say, which said that as far as they were concerned, they are supporting the Electoral Commission in compiling a new register, and that the arguments made by the Electoral Commission to justify its decision to compile a new register were sound. The National Democratic Congress, leading other political parties like the PNC, which seems to be confused as to what its position is, because you have some members of the PNC supporting the MPP's position breaking ranks with the national chairman Bernard Mona, who is supporting the NDC's arguments that there is absolutely no basis at all for a new voters register. But of course, yesterday we had a conversation with a deputy chair of the Electoral Commission on the Super Morning. She had Dr. Bosman Asari, who insisted that as far as they are concerned, there is sufficient basis if they are to achieve credible, transparent elections in December this year. They have to compile a new register. He argues the data center has a problem. Their data may be secure, but their data center is outdated. The equipment are outdated as well, and they have to replace all of them, especially the matters relating to the biometric verification machine, the BVRs. Those need to be replaced completely because they are outdated. And Raymond will point out this is exactly what we said in relation to the National Identification Authority. When we started it in 2007, a few years down the line, we were told that the system that we adopted in the registration were outmoded, and therefore we needed to change it and scrap the entire system.
So Dr. Sari did say that they are working on migrating the data, which means that if you go to register, they may only take your facial recognition, your picture basically, so that they can recognize you they can verify you with your irises and your facial recognition technology. That's the point he made, that data may be salvageable, so that it can be just migrated onto the new system. He said it yesterday when we were speaking, which again raises the question, why then do you need facial recognition technology? Because it is not as accurate as fingerprint technology.
Absolutely.
Remember, he told us that, well, it's because some people's fingers may be calloused and we cannot identify
which is what
them.
was provided for under the current register for people to do manual verification.
I get worried all the time when I hear some of these details. The registration that happened in the year 2012, Malik, we know that you filled forms first. So every single individual that has an electronic version of your data, there should be a form corroborating that. In fact, it's the form, the data on the form that was transferred onto the electronic one. Again, every day, the registration officer print out end of day reports, which stipulates Daniel Dazi living at this particular address, age this, and all of the other detail is part of the people that have actually registered today. Why are we still talking as if this is some data that has been packed into somebody's room and bent, and that we cannot track and we cannot even get access to it? And it's very difficult for us to access these things. If we have a difficulty with having access to the electronic one, we should pick out the old forms, as has been done before, put them back into the system. I think that's far more cheaper than having to go through an entirely new registration process.
And Daniel, let me just point out that everybody should grab a copy of the daily graphic. There is a beautiful message on the top left corner of the daily graphic. The multimedia group is 25 years, and our audience, the chiefs, the people of Ghana, thank you.
I said hooray, but you didn't hear it properly. I was waiting for anyone's backing.
Let's
move on to scented candles, right? So yesterday I like scented candles. I lit up my house with all these candles. Then I was stepping out for a second and I didn't put them off. Then I came out of the house and I was like, no, I should probably go back and put them off. And so I went back and I put them off. Why am I talking about scented candles? Because of fire outbreaks. 71 recorded in the Ashanti region from the beginning of January. And apart from the fact that gas plays a big part in domestic fires, also these little things that we do, like leaving our candles on, play a massive part as well. Raymond, I don't know if you heard the story yesterday of the woman with her 3 children who died because their gas cylinder exploded. All the children were in the kitchen and then it set all of them on fire and they all lost their lives. But in Ashanti region, 71 house fires have been recorded just from the beginning of this year. Now, the public relations officer has said that they are stepping up education, especially at dawn. I'm not sure how I feel about the dawn broadcasting thing, but they're starting at 4 a.m. and between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. going around and telling people just really to be careful, especially with your LPG gas, with the use of candles in the home, with open fires, open flames, and all those things. Because you know how fires are, they kind of just swoop in and almost uncontrollably have the capacity to totally wipe out your home and your family.
Let's stay with the fires because, you see, Daniel, I've been looking at the numbers for 2019. In the year 2019, 4,476 different incidents happened. If you break it down, 12 what they call fire breaks every single day on the average, right? Which means that every 2 hours there's a fire break in this country. And we
explains the missing forms.
We lost
from there, you see.
We lost 90 million. That's money just due to fire breaks alone. But that cannot be compared to the 271 people that lost their lives within the same period. And you talk about the Ashanti region. In the year 2019, they led with 878 different fire incidents, followed by the Greater Accra region and other areas. I just cannot see how these incidents consistently happen, and we report the data, and yet very little is done about it. We are talking here about how some of the wiring in your homes are terrible, about people's management of LPG gas, which could be a contributing factor in their homes.
And then the use of lanterns. We don't even use those things so much, kerosene, lanterns,
I'm just wondering whether it's still education that we are lacking.
and being conscious,
or the enforcement of standards that we are failing to
That as
ensure
well.
should happen.
that as well.
I
Because
think the
if-
enforcement of standards is a very important
Yes,
part.
if we're losing 271 people to a single happening, it should worry everybody. It should something that should cause massive uproar, because that's a huge number.
Now let me tell you another avenue through which we are losing even a lot more, and yet it doesn't seem to worry us, and we are doing very little about it. Okada. Last year, January to December 2019, 732 people died using Okada, both riders and pillion riders. That's those who use it as passengers. 732. Now, the National Road Safety Commission, or Road Safety Authority, now says that it is waiting for a policy direction from the Transport Ministry to do something about